going to talk about the Kabbalah of Matzah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to roll. Well, it's a good word to use for matzah. We're ready to roll. The matzah, as we know, is a particularly Jewish food, and the Torah says that on Pesach you shall eat matzah for 6 days, for 7 days. Matzah shall be eaten. So it's a divine decree. So when we eat matzah, we are making a major connection. Many years ago, it was a supersonic jet that was invented, that was created by the Americans. They made some special jet, or really the fastest jet ever. And what happened was, every time they would take the jet up, the wings would fall right off. And they couldn't figure out, it was like a mystery. They would take the jet up in the sky and one of the wings would just detach. And they couldn't figure out how to fix this terrible problem. So they when everything else fails, they went to the Israelis. And they called the Israelis and asked them, what's going on? The Israelis say, leave it to us. They give them the plane, and the Israelis go and they do something to the wings. They perforate the wings where it connects to the plane. And Americans are looking and they're all baffled. What sort of thing is this? The Israelis said, don't worry, try it out. Sure enough, they tried it out and it flew like a bird. The plane was perfect. None of the wings detached, everything was. The Americans come to Israel, it makes no sense. You put perforation and holes, it should fall off faster. Why? They asked the Israelis, is it like some physics? Is it some chemistry? What's the reason why that helped? They say, no, simple. Passover. Passover? Yeah, matzah. Americans say this, matzah? What does that do with matzah? Yeah, say, yeah, we did a study on matzah, and we found that the matzah, it never cracks on the perforations. And you ever try to crack a matzah? It'll never crack on the perforations. So we understand that if you put the perforations on the plane, it'll never crack there. Anyways, that's the story of the mystery of the matzahs. Don't try it this year. You could try cutting it on the perforation, especially with the shmura matzah. There are lots of perforations all over, but still never cracks on the perforations. So that was just an opening joke, just to get you a little bit rolling. But in the Kabbalah, it speaks a lot about the mystery of matzah and about the Kabbalah of Matzah. And the Zohar, and actually in the writings of the Arizal, it says that matzah has a major impact on us. That when you eat matzah, not only are you feeding your soul, not only are you fulfilling the commandment of God, where Hashem says that on Pesach you should eat matzah, but in addition to that, there's something that matzah does. Matzah has an amazing spiritual capacity. And the Kisvei Arizal that writes that on the first day of Pesach, the first night of Pesach, when we eat matzah, the matzah helps us with our emunah. It helps us with our faith. On the second day of Pesach, it helps us for our health, physical and spiritual. So if you need a blessing for faith, if you need that Hashem should help you with you having doubts in faith, so one of the things to do is to eat matzah on the first day of Pesach. It helps you. It's a bracha for faith. It's called nichla dimhem nusa, the food of faith. That's what matzah does. How it does it exactly, this I can't tell you. It's the mystics know how. But on the first day or first night of Pesach, you eat matzah. If you have doubts whether there's a God, you have doubts about God's attentiveness to the world, you have questions about whether God is there for you, which all of us, we all have these little doubts here and there that creep in on us. And every once in a while we say, oh God, where are you? Or why is this happening to me? You have doubts. And so you eat matzah, boom. On the first day, helps you out with your faith. On the second day is for health. What does that mean? It means that if you have issues, health issues, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, any area of life, health issues, the second day, the Kabbalah calls it Michla the Asvasa. It's in Aramaic. Asvasa is the equivalent of Hebrew Briut, which is health. So if you have a health issue, the Kabbalah writes that on the second day of Pesach, it's Michla. That's what the Rebbe used to say many times. And on both days, it helps a little bit for both. It helps for faith and for health. But especially the second day of Pesach, you have that it is a blessing for good health. By the way, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I just want to make sure the sound's okay. Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay. We're very, very pleased that you can hear. And if you can't hear, you make sure to eat a lot of matzah on Pesach, and you'll be able to hear. You won't need the hearing aids anymore because it will the matzah power, called matzah power. So the first day is for faith. And we all, like I say, we all have the different doubts and questions about faith. I recently had 2 episodes where my faith was tested. And because I give this class and because I eat a lot of matzah on Pesach, and because I'm already preparing, giving people matzah, so I guess we got some faith from Hashem. First one happened a few days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. It was 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I decided spontaneously that I wanted to go to New York to visit the Rebbe's oil, the Rebbe's burial place. It was the 120th birthday of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who would be alive. And it's still celebrated. As we know, tzaddikim, they continue to live on. So even after they pass, their birthday is still applicable. So I decided I was going to go fly in and out, like we're all quickie. And I have to be back for Pesach. A rabbi has to be back for Passover to take care of their flock. So I was going to go in just for the day. So I spontaneously, I booked the ticket with Air Canada, go in the morning, come back in the evening. That's it, one day. And I'll go to the oil and I'll daven everything I need to daven for the entire community. And I brought my list of all the people that are sick in the community. And unfortunately, it's growing, that list. It's a big list. And I brought it with me. We're going to go there to pray that day and to get brachas. And especially on a birthday, we know that everyone has powers on the birthday, but especially a tzaddik, on the day that they're born, it's a very, very auspicious day. So I go to the airport and, I haven't flown in a little while, and I didn't realize, and I tried signing in online before, for whatever reason it didn't work. So I said, I'll take care of it. I get to the airport. What I thought was a reasonable time. It was about 90 minutes before the flight. And I get to the kiosk. It wasn't working at the kiosk. Then I go to the line, and I get to the counter. They tell me, sorry, you can't get on the plane. There's a new rule. You need to come 90 minutes before the flight to sign in. You need to and if you're not signed in by 90 minutes before the flight, you can't come on. Wait, what do you mean? I can't. I'm just going in and out. And if I'm going to push off my flight, then I might as well stay here. Cancel the flight. I say, sorry, this is what it is. So I should have gotten really angry or lose it. And I said to myself, no, I'm teaching now about faith. I'm teaching about matzah being the food of faith. This is my class. I prepared already. I said, well, what am I, a hypocrite? I'm going to, it's like the Rebbe once told someone, he said, someone wrote into the Rebbe, they have their questions, their doubt, they're not well, and things are not so good. And so the Rebbe says, I don't understand. You learn and you learn and you learn. And when it comes to the real life, when it comes to the real problem, You forget everything, right? That's the way we go. That's the way we work. We learn and we learn and we learn, but then it comes, boom, it comes a crisis. That's the test. And they said Yiddish, we learn. There's a kumplapayel. Who is the betachah? Where is the faith? Where is the trust in Hashem? I said, so like I didn't lose it. I said, okay, I called the airlines and I rescheduled it for 2:30. And I said to myself, I have this new thing that I do in my mind. I say, like, I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm not going to go crazy about it. The only question is, I ask Hashem, please, just show me why. Give me a little insight as to why I had to miss the flight. There must be a reason. Right? In other words, there's always a reason. And if you look at it that way, you can never get hurt because you know that everything is from Hashem. If you missed the flight and you tried your best and you still missed it, there must be a reason. So I asked Hashem, please just give me. So I rescheduled my booking and I got another flight that was about 2:30 on the day. And then I got another flight coming back the next morning. So I was going to go still for a couple of hours. I had to stay overnight. But it was like I just told Hashem, I'm not going to get angry. I'm doing this for you, but there must be a reason. Anyways, I come back because it's 2:30 and this was 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning that I went. So I went back to the office and I'm just waiting to see what is the reason. Why did I have to come back to the office? And I come back to the office and I'm doing some work and then I hear like footsteps on the roof of the office. And, we're reconstructing the mikveh. And the guy is working on the drain of the mikveh. Now, the drain of the mikveh is very, very important because the way it's built, it has to be built with particular specifications. That's where the water comes in and it's collected on the roof and it's brought into the mikveh. And it has to be done correctly because it's not allowed to have, mikveh water has to come in naturally. It can't be collected in a vessel of any sorts. It has to be drained right into the mikveh. So I heard the guy working up this. I called him and I asked the guy on top, what are you doing? And I'd worked on the drain that it should be perfect. And then he tells me about how he's doing. I asked him, how are you doing? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? I'm not a big mechanic, but I know what I have to look out for. And when I asked a few questions, the guy said, they're bringing in the water through a 3-inch pipe. I'm sorry, through a 4-inch pipe, and then it shrinks into a 3-inch pipe. It gets a little narrower. So I said, what's the connection between the 4-inch pipe and the 3-inch pipe? So they said that there's a little vessel over there, the clamp of some sort that connects it. But I said, is it a 90-degree angle? Can the water get stuck there? He said, yes. So I said, that makes the mikveh not kosher. You hear this? And so the water gets caught in this groove, and the water gets caught. So the whole mikveh would not be. And bottom line was, if I wasn't there to ask the question, no one would ever see it because it's in the thickness of the roof. The pipes are put inside the roof, and nobody would know. So for the generations, people would be going to the mikveh thinking that it's kosher, and it wouldn't have been kosher. So I had to be sent back from the airport to come back to the shul to be there when they were putting in the pipes of the mikveh to be there and to give my instructions to make sure everything was right. So you could say it's like a wild sort of idea, but I believe that's why I had to come back. I came back, gave me enough time to go back. We fixed the pipe. We made sure it was just one singular 3-inch pipe the whole way. Everything is good. So for the future generations, all the brides and all the people that are going to the mikvahs, the women that are going to mikvahs will have a kosher mikvah and the water will be proper and kosher. And I had to come back. On the Rebbe's birthday, I had to come back to make sure the mikvah was in order. Like I say, if I wouldn't have come back, nobody would have even really noticed that because it was a small small detail which never would have been visible to the naked eye after that. You understand? So, yeah, that's my first story that I'm telling you about my life and about the trust in B'tachon Hashem. The second thing also happened on the day of the birthday of the Rebbe. Actually, it's one story which is really two stories. Okay, so I told you my first story was the why I missed the flight, and about matzah being the food of trust, the food of faith. So we're giving out matzahs, and we're getting this little influx of faith and trust in Hashem. So in honor of the Rebbe's birthday, Goldie and I, we took upon ourselves a few resolutions, different things we wanted to give, like the Rebbe, like sort of a birthday present. So one of the things that they made a campaign around the world, an international campaign, was to make 1,200 new institutions. In honor of the Rebbe's 120th birthday, they added a zero, and they wanted to make internationally the Chabad, in honor of this birthday, they're going to establish another 1,200 institutions. So one of them was we had in mind this renovation of the mikveh, which is going to be a top class 5-star mikveh, even though it was beautiful before, but it was getting old and shabby. So we're redoing the mikveh. We got a particular grant for it, and so we're rebuilding the mikveh. So that was the first institution, a brand new mikveh that we're going to have. And the second institution that we were working on is in Toronto. Unfortunately, lately up north in York region, there's been a shortage of the schools. Many of the schools closed down, and many of them amalgamated, and there isn't really much in terms of day schools in the north of Toronto. So we decided, especially one to the likings of Chabad, so we decided to open up. There's a chain of schools, of Chabad schools now around the world, because Chabad is very involved in preschools. So the next natural outgrowth of the preschools would be to open up day schools. So we made a resolution to start a day school in conjunction with a few of the other Chabads, most prominently Chabad in Richmond Hill, Chabad Romano, which they have a very successful preschool. So we decided we're going to start a new day school. It's a big undertaking. It's a big undertaking. To open a day school is a lot of it's financial undertaking. It's all kinds of undertakings. So this organization called Tamim, it's a new school. Like I say, it's a new network of schools around the world, Chabad day schools. So they give you like some seed funding for the first 3 years until you get yourself on your feet, which is very good. But still, it's a considerable undertaking. And we were a little nervous about it and how it's going to go and whether there'll be enough kids. You need to fill up your classes. We decided the first year we're going to open up an SK in grade 1 and 2. And we were having some initial concerns about whether the school will fill up and whether there'll be enough funding and all those things. So just before Yud Aleph Nisan, we made a resolution amongst some of the Chabads that we're going to learn letters of the Rebbe. Letters of the Rebbe wrote. The Rebbe wrote an amazing amount of letters. He wrote maybe 33 volumes of letters that he wrote to people. And out of those letters, not everything is applicable that they can print. Some of them are very private. But anything that was felt that they had a benefit for the public, they printed it in 33 volumes, all the different, responses the Rebbe sent, responses the Rebbe wrote, different people going through different challenges in life, etc., etc. So we divided the letters amongst all the shulchan, that everybody will learn like 120 letters, right? Tens of thousands of letters. So I took upon myself 120 letters, and Rabbi Bernstein, who also is helping me with the school, he also took it himself to learn 120 letters. So one night, I'm sitting on my couch at home and I'm reading. One day I'm reading a letter from the Rebbe. It was a letter from the Rebbe that I'm reading a letter to Toronto in 1957. When Shochet came here, and the first shliach, he was here to Toronto. 1957, they opened up like it was a Talmud Torah or a day school or something. And in that letter, I'm reading, boom, I see this letter from the Rebbe, I'm reading it. The Rebbe says, it's a very good idea, you're opening up, and not to worry, even though it's the middle of the year, it's hard to get new students, you'll succeed. You'll succeed in opening a brand new school for the city with Hashem's blessings. I said, wow, a letter from the Rebbe. A few minutes later, I get a phone call. I'm excited, Rabbi Bernstein. He tells me, you won't believe what just happened. I said, what? He says, those letters that we divided to read, 120 letters? He said, yeah. So he had it like from a few months before my letter. He said, I just read a letter from the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, I know that opening up this new school in Toronto is going to have many challenges, and there's going to be a lot of difficulties, but don't worry, everything will be okay. And I'm going to send you as a participation, I'm going to send you a few $1,000 for as participating in the school. So he felt good. The Rebbe was participating in the school from somewhere up high. And I got a letter, and I read the letter that I was reading in my section. He read his letter, same time. And so we both felt very, very invigorated. And this was on like right before the Rebbe's birthday. And on the Rebbe's birthday, we also got a phone call from the UJA Federation. Punkt decided on that day they were going to send us a few $1,000 also as a participation for the school. So it was an incredible thing how all these things are coming together to give us that little oomph, all you have to do is have a little faith, and the answers come from up high. The answers come. I got the letters from the Rebbe coming in, and we got participation coming in, and Mitzvah, it will all work out. So I'm just telling you that in life, you need to have a little bitachon, a little faith, and never lose it. Never worry. You're never missing your flight. Like the Rebbe once said, there's no such thing as being stuck. You're stuck. You missed the flight. You're stuck. No. Everything, there's a plan. We are just pieces of God's puzzle, and you just need to put out your ishtadlus. You have to just do what you have to do, and things will always fall into place. Of course, providing you have that faith and that bitachon. So I'm telling you about all my faith stories of the last few days. If you come to shul, maybe I might say it again. Who knows? But the main thing is when we eat matzah, matzah is the food of faith, because that's what when Hashem told the Jewish people. He told them 3,300 years ago, over 3,300 years ago. He told them, "Kindlach, it's time to go. It's time to leave Egypt." And they said, "What? We're leaving Egypt? How's that possible? We are enslaved by the superpower of the world. And how is there a possibility that we can get out of this country and be freed from our slavery?" Hashem says, "You go buy a Paschal lamb and start baking matzahs, right? And everything will work out. That's all you have to do. Matzahs, what does matzahs have to do with getting out of slavery? Or what is the Paschal?" Hashem says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." So they got the Paschal lamb, and it was a great danger, because in those days the Paschal lamb was the idol of the Egyptians. They worshipped the lamb. The sheep was their god. So they took the lamb, and then afterwards they had to bake the matzahs. Hashem said, "Make a seder, the first seder," and they made the first seder. And then Hashem says, "Okay, guys." And they had then the 10th plague, and the firstborn died, and the whole story, as we know the story. And then Hashem says, "Okay, Kindlach, we're going out of Egypt." How? What? Just have you first put the blood of the sheep on the doorposts, and eat your matzahs and mortar with the Paschal lamb, and we're gonna go. So matzah is part of that great act of faith, great leap of faith. So the Kabbalah says that today too, when we eat matzah, matzah is the food. It feeds the part of the soul which yearns for faith and for bitochen. It has this power of giving us more faith. And the second thing that it does for us, we say it also increases health. It's the food of health, you know. Some people claim that matzah, gives them a hard time if they eat a lot of matzah, they're not feeling good after matzah. Some people say it clogs them up a little bit. Yeah, I know the matzah is not. It's sometimes it's hard to digest matzah, but we know that the Torah says the opposite. The Kabbalah says the opposite. Matzah Pesach, asvasa. It helps your health. Helps you, makes you healthy. There's a story of a famous rabbi in Chabad. His name is Rabbi Shlomo Kunin. He's a rabbi in Chabad in LA, Los Angeles. And he's a very, very successful shliach. In the state of California, they must have more Chabad houses than almost any other state in all of the United States. Every city in all of California has, thanks to Rabbi Kunin, who had the vision of the Rebbe to build Chabad houses up and down the West Coast. But when he was a young boy, he came to Chabad. He lived in the Bronx. So the Erev Pesach, the Rebbe was giving out matzahs. The Rebbe used to have a custom to give matzahs to all the shluchim. They go to different places. So many shluchim used to fly in Erev Pesach, and they would get some matzahs from the Rebbe, and then they'd fly back to wherever they're going, or drive back, or take a train back to wherever they were going to have the Rebbe's matzahs for Pesach. The Rebbe used to bake special matzahs on Erev Pesach. And he would give it to his chassidim, and many chassidim used to come, grab the matzahs and run. Some people used to UPS it and send it so that it comes that day for the Seder. And it was Rabbi Kunin was a young bacher then, and the Rebbe saw him standing there, and the Rebbe said, "Come here, I have a matzah for you." He says, "But I'm not a shliach. I'm not on shliach. I'm still a bacher." The Rebbe said, "Well, where do you live?" He says, "In the Bronx." Okay, well, are you going to the Bronx? He said, "Yeah, I have some matzah for you. And by the way, when you're going to the Bronx, go to my secretary, and I want you to stop by in someone's house and give them some of these matzahs. Take the address after you leave me." And so Rabbi Kunin, Shlomo Kunin, he was a young bacher then. Maybe he was 18, 19 years old. And he goes into the office, and the office says, he tells the office that the Rebbe said I should bring some matzah to someone in the Bronx. Oh, that person in the Bronx, the secretary knew about it. He says, "Here, bring it. I'll give you the address. But make sure that they eat it tonight, the matzahs. It's very important that they eat the matzahs for the Seder." And Rabbi Kunin said, should I explain them? No. Just go there and give them. Yeah. So he goes on the way to the Bronx, and it's already almost Pesach. It's already just before the sunset or whatever. So he decides he's going to go to that house, and he'll get off the subway, and he'll go to their house, and then he will come to them for their Seder and get them to eat the matzahs, and then he'll walk to his home, which was maybe like an hour and a half walk from the address that he was sent to. That was his plan. So he went on the New York subway. We all know the subway is a very exciting place. There's all kinds of interesting people on the subway. I grew up on that New York subway, and so the rabbi wasn't rabbi yet. Shlomo Kunin, the bacher, he takes the matzahs and goes to his house, and it was like one of these in the co-ops in the Bronx. They were like little apartments that they had there. It was for poor people over there. They had, if those that know New York, the Bronx had certain neighborhoods that were very, very simple. People were able to live there, and he had the name of the number of the apartment. He goes, he knocks on the door, and opens the door. This burly-looking guy, with not wearing a shirt even. He opens it up. Says, "What are you here for?" He says, "I'm here from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I brought you some matzahs." He says, "You brought me matzahs from the Rebbe?" He said, "Yeah." "Oh, that rabbi that I wrote to about my story. Okay, come on in." And he comes in the house and he sees it's not prepared, nothing, no Seder, no Pesach, nothing. And he calls his wife to come out, the guy. She comes out from the bedroom. And he says, "Okay, he says that the rabbi wants me to make a Seder. Okay, I have a few things." So he took out a few things and said, and Shlomo says, "I have matzah for you, for the Rebbe." They sat down with his matzahs, and the guy brought out, he had a few things, a few hard-boiled eggs, and they brought out, and they started doing the Seder. And as they're sitting there, he calls out his kids to come from and he comes out, and sees the first child comes out. It looks like the child can't see where he's going. He's blind. First child. And then the second child comes out. The second child is also blind. And this was a very, very sad house. And they started the Seder. And as the rabbi is sitting there, the Bachur is sitting there, he's talking to them, explaining them the Seder, and they're going through Helach Manya, and they're doing the Manishtana. He's doing some things with them. And he's teaching them what to do and to drink. They had some grape juice, and they would drink the wine. And he gives a look, and he sees that the wife is very pregnant. And the guy says, "Yeah, my wife is very, very pregnant, and she's going to have a baby. And we were very, very concerned because our first two kids had some kind of rare genetic disease, and they were blind. And we're worried about this third child, what's going to be. So that's why I wrote a letter to the Rebbe that I need a blessing, Rabbi, because I can't deal with this anymore." And so the Shlomo couldn't understand. He said, "Wow, I brought you the Rebbe's matzahs. The Rebbe sent you these matzahs. Now I understand why he sent me here. So you should eat it. Your wife should eat it. The kids should eat it. And this will be a blessing for your new child. It'll be born without any problems." And he did the whole Seder with them. They ate the matzah. And he kept in contact with his family thereafter. Baruch Hashem, the woman had a baby. A few weeks later, a healthy, gesunde baby without any visual defects or whatever, handicaps or anything like that. Baby was on. This is what the Rebbe was. The Rebbe saw that this pregnant woman wanted a bracha, so he sent the matzah which comes from the Rebbe especially. So it's michla das Wasser. It's food of health. So if you know someone that has health problems, feed them matzah. They ask me, how do I know this? I know because it's written. And I also know because of the story, but there's many other things. That the matzah is food which heals the soul, gives you faith, and it also gives you good health. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you all a kosher freila Pesach. By the way, I wanted to speak about many other foods on Pesach. There's morer, and there's karpas, and there's all the wine, and all different things. We'll continue Pesach topics afterwards. But this coming Thursday, we're not going to have the class because it's smack in the middle of Pesach. I mean, it's Erev the last days of Pesach. So we're going to take a break 1 week, and then we'll come back the following week. And then I'll continue, and we'll speak about many of the other Jewish foods and what Kabbalistic insights, what the Kabbalistic meaning is with Hashem's help. So we wish everyone a Chag Kasher v'Sameach, a kosher and freila Pesach. Don't forget to have a good Seder and to prepare yourself. Make sure you have matzah and the mother and everything else. And please God, this time when you eat the matzah, put in a lot of matzah, you'll get good health and good faith.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Very enjoyable. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Chag Sameach. Kosher Pesach.
Okay.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach to one and all. Take care.
Chag Sameach, everyone.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you. You too.
A good
All
year.
of you.
Chag Sameach.